This is a big win for Nnamdi Kanu, the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, following the ruling and declaration by a high court in Nairobi, Kenya, that the abduction and detention of the IPOB leader in Kenya and his subsequent rendition to Nigeria in June 2021 were unlawful and illegal. Delivering judgment on this issue, Justice E.C. Minta held that the actions of both the Nigerian and the Kenyan governments amounted to gross violation of Kanu's fundamental human rights as protected by their respective constitutions in Nigeria and Kenya. The court also awarded Nnamdi Kanu 10 million Kenyan shillings, estimated to be about 120 million naira, in compensatory damages against the Kenyan government for its role in the unlawful abduction and rendition of Nnamdi Kanu back to Nigeria. And the court made a fundamental observation. It stated that having entered Kenya lawfully, that's Nnamdi Kanu did not enter Kenya illegally, he entered legally. He said, having entered Kenya legally, he was subject to the protection offered by the Constitution of Kenya 2010, and the government of Kenya had an obligation to protect his rights and fundamental freedom. And you will realize that the judge was able to dismiss the claim by the Kenyan security official, Kenyan government, that they were not aware of what Nigerian government did in Kenya to Nnamdi Kanu. The judge says it's not true. That if they can say that they did, Nigeria will enter their territory and maltreat and violate the rights of somebody inside Kenya territory, it means that Kenya as a country is literally, in my own words, a useless country. That somebody can enter their country and then the government, nobody knows about it. And they would maltreat a legal resident, a legal visitor, and then whisk him away from your country. And Kenyan authorities say they don't know about anything about it. It means the country is literally useless. But the judge said, no, Kenya is not a useless country. Kenya has people that their responsibilities are to ensure the protection of lives and property in Kenya, and to ensure the implementation and the enforcement of fundamental rights of both Kenyans and legal visitors to Kenya, and concluded that Kenyan government connived with Nigerian government to carry out the illegal abduction and rendition of Nnamdi Kanu. Now, of course, it was a cheering news for the IPOB, and who will blame them? Because they have been fighting in court for the freedom of their leader. And in a statement signed by IPOB spokesman, powerful, the group said, the indigenous people of Biafra wishes to formally announce a resounding judicial earthquake that has shaken the legal foundation of the fraudulent rendition of our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. In a historic, courageous, and landmark judgment delivered on June 24, 2025, the High Court of Kenya, sitting in Nairobi, found that the abduction, incommunicado, detention, torture, and illegal transfer of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya to Nigeria in June 21 was unlawful, unconstitutional, and a gross violation of his fundamental human rights under Kenyan and international law. Now, this verdict ought to have rendered any other thing the Nigerian government is doing null and void. Why is that? Because you can't build something on nothing. That Nigeria illegally extradited, renditioned him from Kenya means that they lack the moral right, the legal right, the international backing to even put him on a trial. That's my interpretation of what this Kenyan judgment fundamentally means. But it is not new. Also, even the court in Nigeria has recognized that Nnamdi Kanu should be released because the way he was brought back into Nigeria was illegal, a violation of both Nigerian law and international law. So the Appeal Court of Nigeria in 2022 agrees with this judgment that just came out from Kenya. Recall that the Court of Appeal in Abuja had ordered the release of Nnamdi Kanu in October 13, 2022, after striking out the terrorism and treasonable felony charge filed by the Nigerian government on the grounds that the IPOB leader was not properly extradited from Kenya. So because he was illegally renditioned, he was abducted from Kenya, the Appeal Court in Nigeria said he should be released. It is also interesting that when that same 2022, when the Court of Appeal gave that judgment, was the same time, within period, that the United Nations Human Rights Council also gave a verdict that Nnamdi Kanu, his abduction and renditioning from Kenya to Nigeria was an illegality, an aberration, and a violation of the international law, and asked Nigerian government then, Muhammad Buhari, to release him. Nigerian government decided not to listen to the United Nations. The Appeal Court, you can see in 2022 also, say, release him. The way you brought him back to Nigeria, you violated both local and international law. Now, that verdict has also been confirmed by the Kenyan court. So both the Kenyan court, the Appeal Court, and the United Nations Human Rights Council, they all agree that Nnamdi Kanu should be set free. However, after that Appeal Court judgment of 2022, which the Appeal Court gave the verdict that he should be released because he was illegally brought back to Nigeria. He was not extradited, he was abducted. And even if it was to be an extradition, it has to follow due process. But what was agreed was that it wasn't an extradition, it was an abduction and renditioning. Okay, so after that Appeal Court judgment, the federal government of Nigeria ran to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court, in a judgment read by Justice Emmanuel Ajin, admitted that despite a series of illegalities carried out by the government, that's what the court said. It said despite, so the Supreme Court agreed that Nigeria is a country that commits illegalities. And the Supreme Court admitted it. So Nigeria is a country that has no regard for legality. When you want to do something, it has no respect for the rule of law. Because if not, how do you interpret this statement by the Supreme Court that despite a series of illegalities carried out by the government, including a military raid on his home, prompting his fleeing the country for safety, and his subsequent extradition from Kenya, that is extradition from Kenya. He wasn't extradited from Kenya, as I said earlier on. He was abducted. He said, the Supreme Court went on to say that it is not enough to stop his trial. It was not enough because fundamentally, why are you trying something when, how do you build something on nothing? You brought somebody illegally and now you want to try him legally. It doesn't add up. But Nigerian Supreme Court said no, the trial must continue. The appeal court was wrong. But the same court admitted that despite the series of illegalities committed by the Nigerian government, that was a damning condemnation of Nigeria, that this is a country that does not obey laws in carrying out its activities. That was why many of us laughed when the Nigerian government was claiming that they would extradite Simon Ekpa to Nigeria. Nigeria said they have applied for the extradition. He will be extradited to Nigeria. No reasonable Western country will extradite their citizen because Simon Ekpa is a Finnish citizen to Nigeria to come and answer charges in a country that even the Supreme Court said that it carries out a lot of illegalities in its activities. So no country will do that. Finland is not going to do that. If you look at the charges they brought against Finland, no mention was made there that after the judgment that he could be extradited to Nigeria. There was nothing like that because of the abysmal record of Nigeria in issue of rule of law and fundamental human rights. I don't know what to think about the judgment from Kenya. What it means, as my understanding, is that it validates the quest and the growing call for Nnamdi Kanu to be released, just like President Bola Ahmed Tinubu released Sunday Igboho and told him to go home and withdraw the charges against him. He can also do the same for Nnamdi Kanu. This verdict by the Kenyan High Court is an indication that the call for Nnamdi Kanu's release by several sections of this country, by several legal minds in this country, is not misplaced. It's in line with international law. It's in line with the United Nations call since 2022. It's in line with the Court of Kenya. I don't know what you think about this, but whatever is your position, let's hear from you at the comment section. Thank you for watching this video. And if you are new to my channel, you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you'll be among the first to know. God bless you. And please don't forget to like this video, because when you like it, Google will rank it high and recommend it for more people. Thank you, and God bless you, adios.